Hi everyone, welcome back to Cardvoyant. I'm Kris and I'm your Cardvoyant once again here with another short video. I did one the other day about all the stuff that's going on, and I just felt like almost immediately I felt like I should do another one. I've kind of been thinking about it. So right now I've laid out 3 cards. I'm about to turn them over. We'll see what we've got. And then I wanted to talk about a few things, but hopefully very quickly. So here we go. Again, I'm going to flip this down so you can see what I'm turning over as I turn them over. Oh man. Well, you guys, what, what a great, awesome, wonderful message. Um, so I'm going to talk about the cards really quickly, and then I want to share also very quickly an experience I had. So first of all, man, the Two of Cups, I mean, what could be better? Hopefully you can see it without the glare. I mean, here we are, men and women of the earth right now, and what we have is we have each other. And despite all the fear that's going around and the craziness, and even some of the I won't bickering, let's say bickering that we've had between frightened people who sometimes are getting into little clashes, and we've seen it in the stores here in California and across the United States in some cases. But you know, honestly, we have each other, and for the in large part, we have each other's back. You know, we have huge swaths of people. Most people are trying to look out for their fellow man. We care not only about ourselves, but especially about our loved ones, our family members. I mean, the teachers care about the students, the doctors and nurses, and everyone associated with the healthcare industry care about their clients, their patients. People in business care about their clients, their customers, everything. I mean, we honestly do have each other's back. And this is the greatest thing that we have, is each other. And so that's not to be neglected. And it's also a great lesson that we're learning right now. You know, for too long, especially in the United States, but I feel like this is globally, it's been that sort of me first attitude. And it's something that I've been really keenly aware of, because I felt like, I mean, I was raised in the 70s and the, 60s, I was a kid, and then the 70s was like, my late kidness and then teenage years. And I could feel that loss of this sort of peace and love movement, right? That we thought was leading to something. And then it just all fell apart in the 80s when the whole greed is good not generation, because it's, I don't want to label it on people. It's just kind of the direction that we took. And along with that came this reemergence of the idea of individualism and I need to get mine, right? Me first kind of thing. And it was sad to me. And this is a rebirth of the opposite of that recognition that we're all in this together. So that's a very good thing. And then you get this Page of Wands, which, and I love this card. I always love this card. When I see it in a reading, it's like, oh, that's great, because it is about these new beginnings. It's about creativity and the power of our own will, our own ideas, our own passions, our own creativity, and the things that they can bring about. Now, the thing about the page, of course, is that it is a beginning, and it's up to us to sustain that momentum and to build these things that we conceive. But as we go through this pandemic and associated crises, um, this is paramount. That, I mean, we're going to begin seeing this. The page is telling us that we're going to begin seeing these ideas for change, the understanding of the need for change on so many levels in so many different areas. And it will be up to us to sustain it. And then we get another Wands card, which is of course perfect, because Wands are about creative energy and passion projects, and all these different things that help us display in mortality our immortality. So they're beautiful, a beautiful suit of cards, and you get this 4, and look at this happiness. And this is the possibility. Here we have like 2 figures again, mimicking these figures that talk to the ultimate happiness that we can achieve. Now it's a 4 card, so there's so much beyond this that can be achieved, but we have to know that in the immediate future, I mean, really in the quite immediate future, as we come out of this, we can build a much happier, a more unified, a kinder, honestly, a kinder environment for ourselves and our children and the world. So that's the very short message. It's a message of hope. But I did want to share something else just very briefly, because when I posted my last little everything's going crazy video, that day I had gone to visit 2 of my kids who live in San Jose, which is where I grew up. It's only a couple hours away from me. And as I go there, every time I go there, and I go there quite often, to me, there's always a little bit of sadness associated with it, because the San Jose that I grew up in was very different from the Silicon Valley San Jose of today. And yet this time, as I came into the valley, and you kind of, when you come in from the east, you kind of come down this hill and you can see San Jose laid out before you. This time I was passing by like Google and, all these different campuses of high-tech companies. And it occurred to me how kind of beautiful it was, how how mankind had built so many quite amazing things. And it just felt different. It felt more beautiful. So later that day, with family, we decided, foolishly or not, to go out to eat. So we were sitting in the restaurant waiting for food when everything sort of broke loose. The NBA, the player in the NBA came out as having tested positively for COVID-19. And then the NBA shut things down, and the stock market had just tanked. And then Tom Hanks and his wife, Rita Wilson, had tested positive. Earlier that day, my 2 children who I was visiting happened to work at the San Jose airport, and they had learned that there were at least 1 worker, but probably 3, that had the coronavirus. And they were talking about, even possibly, all the things that could be associated with that. So it was just like this bombardment of things all of a sudden. And it was just like, you feel like you have a hold on things, like, okay, I see what's happening, and take a breath, as I talked about in the last video. Here are the reasons it's happening. And then you're hit with all this stuff, and suddenly everything's scary again. And I think that's what's happening to a lot of us. Like, we're continually being re-frightened about the possibility of things happening. Certainly people like me of a certain age are more worried. My mother's 87 years old. I'm worried on her behalf. I'm an asthmatic, my sister's an asthmatic. We all have these things that particularly cause fear in us. So all of that stuff had happened, and I needed to get home that night. So I left, even though it was later in the evening. I left, and I walked outside of my daughter's house, and the stars were so bright. It was particularly clear evening, and they were so bright. And this was Wednesday night. And I looked up and I could see, like, straight ahead of me, Orion's belt, so clear. I don't know a lot about stars, but I recognize that. And it was just so beautiful. And I don't know why it struck me, but it just struck me, the beauty of it. And I got in my car and I drove off. And as I was driving, like, just a number of things happened. I saw a car edging up a hill in the darkness, just as lights. And I thought, gosh, that's a beautiful picture, you know, like you'd see it in a movie or something. And it was just, it was beautiful. And then I rose over going the same hill, but going out, and I could see like the landscape, it just sort of the shadows of the landscape. And that was beautiful. And then I was listening to, of course, my playlist and singing along, and I had like a succession of songs that I loved. And of course, it's my playlist, so I have a lot of songs that I love, but these were like particular favorites all in a row. And I just thought, oh man, I love this music. I love music. And suddenly I just had the thought, this is all worth saving. This is all worth caring about. This is all worth fighting for. And in our lives, we all fight for different things, for everything communally, I mean, the beauty of the earth, right? I mean, what's more basic and more universally shared than an understanding of the beauty of the earth? But there are individual things that we love and are willing to fight for also. Um, Music, people that make music. I mean, it's amazing. I do not have that ability. I have a love for it, but I don't have that ability. And they, I'm sure, would say their ability and their ability to make and to distribute and to share music is something worth fighting for. There's so many people around the world that care for animals, just their own, share the love of, or actually doing very hard and diligent work to care for the animals of the earth and make sure they're protected and loved and respected. And those people have something beyond, the basic stuff too, and maybe added with other stuff, but this caring for the animals is worth fighting for. The people who are truly in the fight, and I hope that we all are, but truly in the fight to save this planet, the resources of this planet, they know that that's worth fighting for. Anything that you love is worth fighting for, whether that's movies or TV or fashion or science, in whatever form that takes, or making videos, or anything that you are passionate about is part of this planetary experience that is worth fighting for. And that is what's happening right now. We have been in a sort of malaise because things have been tough over the past many years. I mean, everything from just constant sort of political upheaval, our own political difficulties, wars, other diseases, people fighting against the things that we love, people fighting for things that seem almost impossible to achieve sometimes. I mean, this has been sort of this underlying tension in our world. And we're at a point now when that tension had to give way. And the things that we're experiencing, and there's many of them beyond the virus itself, sort of associated with it, as I talked about before, and things that will be affected because of the prevalence of it. And all of these things are bringing about change, and they're going to foster in us an ability to more beautifully and more universally express the commitment to and commitment for those things that we love. And this brings about, when we commit to love like that, it brings about many changes, all good, all good changes. So I would encourage you, even in the midst of this, and one of the things about this encouragement is we are able to do it because of those very things I talked about at the beginning, these tech companies. Even in the midst of this, even if you are self-isolating, even if your community is encouraging you to stay indoors, we have the ability now to communicate with each other and to express so many of our passions in newly formed ways with technology. And that's a beautiful thing. This is a gift that's come to us in anticipation of these times, and we need to take full advantage of it by not only allowing them to help us express the things we love, connect with the things and people that we love, and to learn and grow and recommit to dedicating our lives to love instead of fear. This is a really a great opportunity, right? It's a great opportunity for us to remember that the whole purpose of being here is to expand our consciousness, the universal consciousness, and we're all a part of that. So we need to have each other's backs because we're all connected. We're all part of the divine. It's also an opportunity to bring about these changes that are kinder and gentler and more accepting, more nurturing, and at the same time, more creative and more connected with the non-physical world. And because of that, as we do this and bring these things about, we expand our consciousness, the things that we know and understand, our connection with the non-physical world exponentially. And then finally, you know, we will bring about these things. We will have this sort of rebirth in kindness and happiness and love and all these things. I mean, it's a beautiful thing. I understand these are scary times, but it is an opportunity to explore our own connection with the divine, our connection with our spirit guides, who, believe me, are there wanting to help you. And you can do this through exploring your passions, through meditation, through deep breathing. I mean, just breathe and take a second and recognize, you know, as Eckhart Tolle says, that self outside of yourself, see yourself as the physical entity you are, observed by the non-physical entity that you are. And that it'll bring some assurance, you know. And the more that we do this, the more that we focus on the love, and the less that we focus on the fear, we will bring things about faster. And that's a really important part that I want to emphasize, is that we need to think about, instead of concentrating or thinking, interpreting it in our mind as fighting against the coronavirus, it can be more helpful to think of it as fighting for our health, right? It's the same thing, but the mindset is different, right? We're fighting for our health. We're not fighting against people who would bring us down or people who would separate us. We're fighting for something. And what we're fighting for is unity. What we're fighting for is peace. What we're fighting for is kindness. What we're fighting for is an expansion of our eternal selves, and we're fighting for a way for our eternal selves to more fully be accepted, acknowledged, and welcomed into our very physical lives. So think of the things that we're fighting for, and maybe even fighting is the wrong, working towards. Think of the things that we love, that we want to bring about, that we want to embrace, and concentrate on that rather than on fear and fights against something. Think of it as passion for something, and we'll all be better for it. And never forget, I think maybe this first card is more important. We have each other, and that's a very good thing. So again, I'm Kris, and I'm your Cardvoyant, and I hope you can see me as somebody who is here for you and embracing all those things, doing my best to embrace them. It's scary sometimes, but you know, we're all working towards this, and it's all really, honestly, it's going to be okay because we've got each other. So until next time, I'll have some more stuff coming up, hopefully positive, good, wonderful things, and with wonderful, good, positive messages like these cards that we just got today. So until next time, take care of each other, and bye for now.